We're almost there already. We have decompressed it just a little bit. Boy, this tissue wants to keep coming in there. Okay.
9 hours into a grueling operation, a patient's skull lies broken to pieces.
Suction, John, suction. Let's keep moving while we're here. Let's move fast because I don't want to postpone time.
His face hangs like a rag. American-trained facial reconstruction surgeon Dr. Likith Reddy is halfway through a 3-week mission to India. This is surgery number 17. But now, his patient's vital signs are slipping.
I still think we should plan on changing this drape, sir, because it's just freezing.
It's a moment of helplessness and shock for Dr. Reddy.
Are you guys serious? Is that low?
All his training and skill may not be enough to save a life. "22-year-old Suresh Basagani was born with a massive cleft that divides his nose, flattens his face, and isolates him from the world.
At the age of 10, I realized there was something wrong with me. Then I realized it even more when I left my village for the first time at the age of 18. That's when people started looking at me.
Suresh is trapped in a face that functions in reverse, that repels instead of attracts. He'd give anything for a chance to see himself and be seen without his mangled mask. The surgery that can give him that chance is life-threatening, but Suresh is willing to place his life in Dr. Reddy's hands. The face. It's a picture of the self that nature shows the world, but sometimes nature takes that picture and slashes it like a vandal. India is divided by a rigid social hierarchy, the caste system. The people on the bottom rung are known as the untouchables. But those born with facial deformities are ranked even lower. They've been betrayed by the very part of the anatomy that's supposed to help a person make friends and connect. Rejected by family, society. Some even think they are cursed by God.
Some families think it's a very bad omen. They just think it's not a good thing and they dump the babies. So these are the kids who are unfortunately left behind.
1.5-year-old Sanya has 2 noses. It's a 1 in a million abnormality that makes breathing difficult. But in India, it poses more than a medical challenge.
When she was born, we were saying, how could God give a child like this to us? Why did he do this to us?
Sanya's father lost his arm in a car accident and works as an office water boy for less than $1 a day. Sanya's deformity means he cannot arrange a marriage for her, and he will have to support her for his entire life. These are some of the world's unluckiest people, penniless and disfigured. But here at this charity hospital in the sprawling central Indian city of Hyderabad, they are finding hope. Once a year, Cincinnati-based surgeon Dr. Likith Reddy returns to his birth city to remake faces and rebuild lives. In 3 weeks, Dr. Reddy will attempt to pull off more than 50 major operations. It demands cutting-edge surgery and back-breaking work.
Well, this is the city I was born, and I remember where I came from. How do I make the largest impact? It's not by coming and giving a little bit of money there. I think I can make the largest impact by providing care.
I'm so grateful for the doctor. It's like buying a winning lottery ticket. It's amazing that this has happened in my life.
This year, the surgical puzzles Dr. Reddy must solve are some of the rarest and most challenging he has ever faced.
We are talking about a full spectrum of craniofacial defect. Some of them are extremely rare, not even rare, extremely rare. Some of them there is not even a clear-cut rule or guideline which tells you how to do it.
Wasim is a 6-year-old boy from a village 250 miles away. The large mass on his nose is called an encephalocele. It's actually part of his brain that is leaked through an opening in the front of his skull. It's big, and it's getting bigger.
He has a hole there right behind the nasal bone, and tissue is just extruded through that. It has outpouched. That's what happened.
Wasim's had the encephalocele since he was born. His skull formed improperly, and a bone behind his nasal cavity failed to fuse. In an area which is normally sealed, Wasim has a hole, and his brain is slowly seeping through.
He does everything. He plays, he goes in the field, he goes in the car, no problems. His only fear is falling and hurting himself on the nose. That's his only fear. He fell twice and he went unconscious both times, and that's when the swelling began more. And then he had to take injections and stuff.
These things can just spontaneously start leaking, the brain fluid or the CSF. And those are all life-threatening situations.
The brain matter in Wasim's nose is non-functioning, but a simple fall could be fatal, triggering a hemorrhage that could flood the rest of his brain. The older he gets, the larger the mass will become, pushing his eyes apart and gradually taking away his sight. Surgery is a high-stakes gamble that could itself lead to brain damage or worse. But the boy and his grandparents are ready. They know that Wasim has no other chance at a normal life. For them, the mere possibility of surgery, which they could never afford, is a miracle.
Dr. Reddy is the savior of poor people. It's not something that he has to do, but this is something that he's doing for people without any money. So to me, he's like a god.
Suresh Basagani is praying that Dr. Reddy has the godlike power to redesign his face. Suresh dropped out of college after a year because of taunts and stares. He also has an encephalocele, but it is much smaller than Wasim's, and it's buried in a deep cleft that divides and flattens his nose. The cleft is incredibly wide. There are only a handful of people on Earth whose eyes are separated by as much as Suresh's. Only a specialist surgeon like Dr. Reddy could even attempt the operation to break his skull and put it back together again.
This is normal. This is how much you want it to be. But here, look at the distance. The nose looks super wide.
The wide nose and the splayed eyes have brought him too much attention and not enough. His deepest desire is something that most of the world takes for granted, to connect with others.
My dream is to be friends with as many people as possible, because that's my nature, and I don't like to hurt anybody.